What type of hunter would each member of the Phantom Troupe be, and what would be their association star ranking? Let's talk about it, and shout out to Cashew for the question. All right, so this is actually a really fun thought experiment, but before we dive in, let me lay a couple things out. And first and foremost, three of the Phantom Troupe members are hunters in Hisoka, Illumi, and Shalnark, but none of them have star rankings to my knowledge, and we also don't know what specific category of hunter they are, so I'm still going to be analyzing them as well. But yeah, they actually are hunters. And some of the other ones might be hunters too, but these are the only three we know about. And then I just wanted to clarify how the star rankings work in the Hunters Association because they're not really a reflection of strength or like a way to power scale the Phantom Troupe. And if you're interested in who I think is the strongest amongst the Phantom Troupe, I have a whole other video where I rank them. So I would recommend checking that out. But how the stars work is based on the bylaws here. And as you can see, the fifth article says that 1 star is given to hunters who produce remarkable achievements in a particular field. Makes sense, right? But then in order to get a 2nd star, you have to fulfill everything above and hold an official position within the Hunters Association and have mentored a junior hunter who is awarded a single star. So getting that second one isn't a reflection of you doing even more remarkable things, right? It means that you have to have like been participating in the bureaucracy, in the politics of the Hunters Association and be a mentor to somebody else. So I don't really see a lot of the Phantom Troupe members going to that length, which means there's also not really going to be many that would ever get a 3rd star because you would have to have done all of this and then given remarkable achievements in multiple fields. So all that being said, I think maybe a couple of the Phantom Troupe members would get some stars, and I'll call those out when we get to them. But otherwise, not really any of them are going to be applicable to this. So with all that being said, I think the fun here is going to be trying to place each of the Phantom Troupe members in their specific hunter category, of which there are a lot. And honestly, I think there's probably infinite. Like they probably just classify hunters after they specialize. But I'm going to try to pigeonhole everybody into one of the classifications that we have been made aware of in the series. And here's a list that I put together that I think is all of them that we've seen, but y'all let me know in the comments if I missed any here. So without further ado, let's actually get into this. And let's kick things off with Corto P. And I think Corto P would be a treasure hunter. He's going around looking for all of those rare and valuable objects so that he can copy them with his technique. Next up, we've got Pakunoda, and I think she would make an excellent crime hunter to the extent that I'm going to award her a 3-star ranking here. And this is obviously assuming that she kind of buys into the process a bit, but I think she would if she had had like a slightly different life that wasn't consumed with tragedy at a young age, right? Because her technique, the way that she can analyze people's memories, she would be a tier 1 detective, right? But not only that, I do think she cares enough about her friends and stuff that she would mentor younger hunters. And with her technique, she could also help people in the terrorist hunter realm, in the blacklist hunter realm. So I think she could get those accolades in multiple fields. And she's going to be one of 2 3-stars that I think we've got here. Next up, we've got Kaluto Zoldyck, and this one was a bit hard to place, but I ultimately landed on a lost hunter, which is a hunter that goes and tries to find missing people, right? And I landed here for 2 reasons. The first is that his technique with the paper dolls, letting him surveil those targets, that could be good for like setting up stations and trying to track down people, right? Could also be good for crime hunting, but also we know that Kaluto's prime motivation for joining the Phantom Troupe is to save and get back their brother, right? So they seem to have some sort of calling for maybe retrieving lost people. Next up, we've got Shizuku, and this was one of the hardest ones to place for me because I think she obviously would fit in like a cleanup crew type of hunter designation, but that one doesn't exist. So if we're going to try to slot her into one of the established ones, I think maybe Ruins Hunter would be the best fit. Kind of like an archaeologist, like Gene Freaks, right? You could use Blinky the vacuum to go suck up all of the dirt and stuff and just help you excavate a site very quickly. So for that reason, we're going to put her there, and I do think she would be a 1-star there. Next up, we've got Shalnark, and I'm placing our boy as a 1-star hacker hunter, which is basically the tech-savvy hunters, which we know is basically his role on the Phantom Troupe. He was one of the most intelligent members and the one that was always on the computer finding the information for him. So I just feel like this one fits. Next up, we got Machi, and I believe she would be a 2-star disease hunter, which is basically like the doctor hunters of the verse. So, like Cheadle or like Leorio, most likely. We know that she's basically the doctor, the one that stitches up the Phantom Troupe. So, I think it just makes sense. And I think she would get that 2nd star because she seems like the type that probably would want to hold like an official position and then would mentor somebody else as well. It's kind of, the what if scenario, but I could see it for her. Next up, we've got Franklin, and I think he would be a blacklist hunter, which is essentially a hunter that just goes out there hunting other people, right? Tracking down criminals and bringing them to justice. So, not like a detective that's solving the crimes, but the person that goes out there and actually apprehends them. And I know this is kind of a boring placement, and I actually put like half of the Phantom Troop in this one, but if somebody doesn't have like a specific niche, I feel like this is just their best fit. Next up, we've got Nobunaga, and I think he would be a 2-star blacklist hunter. So, same designation, but I think he would get those stars because one, he just seems so skilled, and also we see him make friends pretty easily. So, I feel like if in this parallel universe where he was a part of the Hunters Association, I could see him having an official position and mentoring those under him. Next up, we've got Benolanov, and I would classify him as a 1-star ruins hunter. He would be the one going out there, kind of like an archaeologist, hunting down and preserving ancient ruins and cultural touchstones, because we know he is from a very small tribe that got wiped out, basically. So I could see him having a passion for trying to protect that elsewhere. Next up, we've got Finks, and I'd put him as a 1-star blacklist hunter, so he's just out there hunting people down. Next up, we've got Uvogene, and it's the exact same thing, a 1-star blacklist hunter. Then next, we've got Phaeton, and I would put him as a 1-star terrorist hunter. And the reason there's a difference here is because we know that he was the interrogator and the torturer of the Phantom Troupe. So, as opposed to just hunting down like normal criminals like the blacklist hunters, I feel like he would be given the missions where like, hey, we need information out of these people, send in Phaeton. Next up, we've got Illumi Zoldyck, and he's a 1-star blacklist hunter, which again is kind of boring, but just nothing else felt like it fit more. And as an assassin, his job is to basically go hunt people down, so I feel like it fits. Then next, we've got Hisoka, and I feel like a few different categories would fit here, but I ultimately decided to go with headhunter, which is basically a hunter that goes out there and recruits talent, right, and cultivates it, which is basically what Hisoka does in a twisted way, right? He's out there evaluating talent and cultivating people that he can fight later. So if he kind of positioned that slightly more toward the side of good, I could see him being a headhunter for the association, and he'd be good at it. So a 1-star, maybe a 2-star, because like maybe he would mentor somebody as well, but I just don't see him taking things seriously enough in the bureaucratic side of things to really ever get there. But we'll call him a 1-star. And finally, that leaves us with Chrollo, who I think would be a 3-star treasure hunter. Treasure hunter is pretty self-explanatory, I think. Our man already tracks things down as is to steal them for his ability, so I think he would be doing the same thing for the association. And I think he would be a 3-star because Chrollo is a blank slate that becomes what he needs to, right? Kind of like Pariston in a way. So if he needed to climb that bureaucratic ladder, I think he would do it. He would mentor somebody, he would get outstanding achievements in multiple fields as a specialist. So yeah, he is our 2nd 3-star here. So that's my 2 cents on their rankings and their placements, but please let me know y'all's down in the comments because this was really fun to think about. And shout out again to Cashew for the question. And then finally, I want to give 2 huge shout outs to someone else who just says thanks. And no, thank you, man. I really appreciate the support. And also Muhammad, who had some very kind words. So thank you, man. But also wanted to know, when do I think the main players on the Black Whale will meet? And slight spoiler warning if you're not caught up on the Hunter x Hunter manga right now, but I think things are about to pop off. We know that Benjamin is on a 24-hour timer, less than really. Martial law has been declared, and he is going to try to end this succession war in the next half a day, right? And we know he's already started to wrangle up all the other princes, so things are about to reach an absolute fever pitch. We might have Karapika and Saridnik meet if, Wobble and Saridnik are being wrangled together in the same room. I certainly think Chrollo and Hisoka and the Phantom Troupe stuff is about to come to a fever pitch as well, given all of the stuff going on with the Mafia and the general chaos of martial law, probably providing Chrollo his window to attempt to steal the Kaki national treasures. Like, it's all about to happen. It might be 50 chapters worth of material, but in universe time, things are popping off. Anyways, y'all, that's all for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and Happy New Year.